Hello everyone. So today I'm gonna be reviewing um, React in FreecodeCamp. So I've done this before, so I'm really just doing like a walkthrough. I'm reviewing it for myself because I haven't done React too seriously for like 3 months. So it's kind of like a refresher for me. I've done this almost exact same thing in the beta version. So I'm gonna do this, and I'll probably do some other projects after I finish this. So yeah, see how it says I've done Redux, I've done React Redux. So I'm gonna do React, um, and I'm just gonna see how long it's gonna take me to do this. Let's see. Go to first. Go to first. Okay. Uh, should I? Also, I have on the side here. So this is a beta version. The reason I like the beta version is I kind of get the answer. So, uh, so I'm probably gonna be looking at that. Uh, so I'm gonna be looking at that. Uh, okay, so let's get started. So let's get started. So let's read. React is open source Vue library maintained by Facebook. It's a great tool to render the user interface UI of modern web applications. React uses syntax of React uses syntax extension of JavaScript called JSX that allows you to write HTML directly within JavaScript. This has several benefits. It lets you use the full programmatic power of JavaScript within HTML and helps to keep your code readable for the most part. JSX is similar to HTML that you have already learned. However, there are a few key differences that you'll be covering throughout this challenge. Give me 1 second actually, because I'm trying to organize myself. I have an app that helps me organize myself. I'll show you the app because it's pretty interesting. It's called Sun Sama, and what I like to do is, what is display mode? I like to put the timer. How do I do the timer for this? And there's a way to do the timer, but I guess how do I do the timer? Maybe I gotta do task. Task? Mm, huh. I guess I don't have task here. Uh, add next action. No, that's not what I want to do. Uh, okay, whatever. I think there's a way when you click it, it kind of gives you a timer, but I don't really see that here. So anyway, so I started at 12:30. So 12, 12:30, and I am going to give myself until 1:45. Okay, so let's get back to let's get back. Okay, so let's start reading. So this says okay, so we read this. For instance, because JSX is syntactically extension of JavaScript, you can actually write JavaScript directly within JSX. Okay, that's important. To do this, you simply include the code you want to treat as JavaScript within curly braces. Okay, so to do this, you simply include the code you want to be treated as a. Okay, I kind of knew that, but this is treated as JavaScript code. keep this in mind since it's used in several future challenges. However, because JSX is not valid JavaScript, JSX code must be compiled into JavaScript. The transpiler Babel is a popular tool for this process. For your convenience, it's already behind the scenes for this challenge. If you happen to write syntactically invalid JSX, you will see the first test in the challenge fails. It's worth noting that under the hood, the challenges are calling React DOM.render JSX document.get element by ID root. This function call is what happens when your JSX into React's own lightweight representation of the DOM. React then uses snapshots of its own DOM to optimize updating only specific parts of the actual DOM. Okay. So let's do that. Just trying to type. Okay. So the current code uses JSX to assign a div to the const JSX. Replace the div with h1. Okay. So h1. So h1. Okay. Control enter. Okay. So they want hello. What do they want? Hello JSX. Okay. So control enter. Okay. Control enter to submit. Okay, we did our first one. We have 49 to go. Create a complex JSX element. The last challenge was a simple example of JSX, but JSX can represent more complex HTML as well. One important thing to know about about nested JSX is that it must return a single element. This one parent element would wrap all of the other levels of nested. For instance, several JSX elements written are as siblings when no parent will be transpiled. Okay. So div, so this is valid. So if you want to do 3 paragraphs, you have to put a div. Okay. Define a new constant JSX. Okay. Write code here. So const JSX equals. So div. Okay. I'm liking this new FreecodeCamp. This is a lot easier to read than the green version. The green version isn't bad, but this is definitely a plus. This is definitely a plus. Okay, so but what they want is define a new JSX that renders a div which contains the following elements in order. Okay, so let's this is gonna be our wrapper. So okay. And okay, so they want, can I do H1 tab? No. So, an H1, so H1, H1, P, 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 unordered list, oops, unordered list, and they want They want li, li. They want li, 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 h1, p, p, and li, li, li. Okay. Uh, so when rendering multiple elements like this, you can wrap them all in parentheses, but it's not strictly required. Also notice this challenge uses a div tag to wrap all child elements within a single parent element. If you remove the div, the JSX will no longer transpile. Keep this in mind since it will also apply when you render JSX elements. Okay, so we do the second one. JSX. Okay, add comments in JSX. Okay, actually, I didn't know this. Comments. JSX is a syntax that compiles into valid JavaScript. Sometimes for readability, you might need to add comments to your code. Like most programming languages, JSX has its own way to do things. To put comments inside JSX, you use the syntax, okay, parentheses, /, star, and then / parentheses. To wrap around the comment, the code editor has JSX elements similar to what you created in the last challenge. Add a comment somewhere within the provided div without modifying the existing h1 or p. Okay. Add. Okay. Okay. Wonder if I could do this. Start header comment. Okay. Submit. Okay. Render HTML elements to the DOM. Okay. So far, you learned that JSX is a convenient tool to write readable HTML within JavaScript. With React, we can render this JSX directly to the HTML DOM using React's render API known as React DOM. React DOM offers a simple method to render React elements to the DOM, which looks like this: React DOM.render, component to render, target node, where the first argument is the React element or component that you want to render, and the second argument is the DOM node that you want to render the component to. As you would, one second. I'm just watching a video in the background. Okay, so what do they want me to do here? Okay, so React DOM that render, component to render, target node. Okay, so we have this here. This is our JSX. This is what's going to be rendered, and this is the div. So it's only one component. So the code editor has a simple JSX component. Use the React.dom render method to render this component to the page. You can pass define JSX directly in as the first argument. Use document.getElementById to select the DOM. Okay. Okay. So React.dom.render. Okay, so we have React.dom.render, and we have two arguments. The first argument is JSX. Okay, and then the second argument is, so this is our component here, and then the next is document dot get element by ID. So this is really important. This is get element by ID, so you just have to put in the string. So the string is challenge. Oh, thanks for the subscription. I appreciate it. Sam Paul. Are you trying to learn React, or are you trying to learn programming? So document.getElementById. So the mistake I made one time is I did this, and I did challenge, and I did the ID, and then I was running around like trying to figure out why my React wasn't rendering. So this is get element of ID, so you just need the string of the ID. So it already knows it's an ID, so you don't need this tag, or this is basically like the CSS tag, but in my head I thought I needed it, but so I don't need that. Okay, so this should work. Okay, so let me do Control Enter, and okay, so let me see. Did I do something wrong? Okay. The provided JSX should render in challenge node. ID challenge node. Do I have? Okay, let me see. Get element by get element by ID. I wonder if I need this string. Let me see how they have it. Challenge node. So this is correct. The component to render, so it's gonna render the JSX. So that's correct. What I don't have correct, do I have to put double quote? ID challenge. I wonder if I'm typing it incorrectly. Let me see. So let's how do I delete this? Delete. Run. Huh. I wonder why mine's not working. Let me put more space. I'm just gonna copy this whole thing because document.getElementById. I feel like this should work. I don't want this. React.dom render document So I'm not sure why it's not working. I'm gonna check. So if you want to get the answers, they have a beta version that you could just get the answers from. Where's the beta version? Okay. So I'm just gonna show you the beta version so you kind of see. So if you go here, this is the URL. The complex. Okay. No, it's not. Common surrender. Okay. So what's different about this one than what I have? Oh wait. Okay. So I see my mistake. So my mistake is I think this is my mistake. So my mistake that I didn't capitalize this. So maybe that's why it doesn't work. Okay, yeah, I think that's why. Yep, that's the reason because right now it renders. Uh, so when you put React.dom, just make sure you have it exactly how it is. My mistake was it wasn't capitalized. I just had D-O. I had just capital D. So this should run. Control Enter, and yep. Okay, so I think we're on challenge 5. Let's see quickly we could do this. Okay. 1 second. Okay, so define an HTML class in JSX. Okay. Define an HTML class in, okay. Now that you're getting comfortable writing JSX, you may be wondering how it differs from HTML. So far, it may seem that HTML and JSX are exactly the same. One key difference in JSX is that you can no longer use the word class to define HTML classes. Okay, and the reason you can't do this, you can't put class, is because it's a forbidden word. Because, or it's like what's the word? You can't use it because it's used for like classes, so you can't use it. This is because classes are reserved. Okay, it says it here. Yeah, class is a reserved word in JavaScript instead of JSX use. So use class name in JSX. Okay. In fact, the naming convention for all HTML attributes and events in JSX become camel case. Okay. For example, a click event in JSX on click instead of on click. Likewise, on change becomes on change. While this subtle difference, it is an important one to keep in mind moving forward. So I'm gonna write that down. JSX becomes camel case. Okay. So what do they want me to do? Apply a class of my div to div. Okay. So div. So we have to do class camel case name. Then we have to do my div. Okay. So this should work. Let's control enter. So we learned about class names. And on to the next one. I think we are on 6. Okay. So far you've seen how JSX differs from HTML in a key way with the use of class name versus class for defining HTML classes. Another way in which JSX differs from HTML is in the idea of self-closing tags. Okay, in HTML, almost all tags have both opening and closing. Okay, the closing tag always has a forward slash before the tag name that you're closing. However, there are special instances in HTML called self-closing tags, or tags that don't require both opening and closing before another tag can start. For example, line break can be written br, or it could be written like this, br, or it could be written like br forward slash the greater than sign, but should never be written as okay, since it doesn't contain any content. In JSX, the rules are a little different. Any JSX element can be written with a self-closing tag, and every element must be closed. The line breaking tag, for example, must always be written. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the habit of writing my BRs like this. In order to be valid JSX, it can be transpiled. A div, on the other hand, can be written as div or div. Remove the comment. B. Okay. Welcome to React. HR. Okay. So H-R. Okay. Run test. No. I don't think I need this. Hmm. Oh, BR. Boom. We got it. We did it. We're on like 7. Okay. Create a stateless functional component. Components are the core of React. Everything in React is a component, and here you will learn how to create one. There are 2 ways to create a React component. The first way is to use a JavaScript function. Defining a component in this way creates a stateless functional component. The concept of state in an application will be covered in later challenges. For now, think of a stateless component as one that can receive data and render it, but does not manage or track changes to the data. We'll cover the second way to create a React component in the next challenge. To create a component with a function, you simply write a JavaScript function that returns JSX or null. One important thing to note is that React requires your function name to begin with a capital letter. Let me write that down. React requires your function name to begin with a capital letter. Here is an example of a stateless functional component that assigns an HTML class in JSX. Okay. Const demo component function return. Okay. 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 I'm gonna write this down. Why did I wait so much? Okay. Const my component function. Okay. The code editor has a function called myComponent. Complete this function so it returns a single div. Okay, so it wants to get one div. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put the div. I could also do it different way, but oh, a string of text. Okay, this is my string. This should work. Okay. Complete this function so I return the single div which contains some string of text. The text is considered a child of div element, so you know. Okay. Do they want me to do React? They want me to do this? React DOM dot render my component document. I don't think I have to do this. Let me see. Next. Oh, see, okay. This is very important. I have this, but I didn't do return. Also, I could also do this, and I don't need the return. So I could do both. I just have to remember if I'm not doing ES6, oh, then I need the return. So let me write this down. Return div. Okay, so let me write it down in ES6 as well. My component parentheses equals arrow, and then div. Okay, so I have this. Okay, wait, no. Okay, so this actually works. Oh, no. This works. Yes. Create a React component. Okay. How much paper do I have? What time is it? Okay. Create a React component. Okay. Okay. Create a React component. The other way to define it, the way to define React component is with Es6 Class Syntax. In the following example, kitten extends React.component. Class kitten extends React.component, constructor props, super props, render, return. Okay. This creates an ES6 kitten which extends the React component class, so the kitten class now has many useful React features such as local state, life cycle hooks. Don't worry if you aren't familiar with these yet, they will be covered in greater detail in later challenges. Also notice the kitten class has a constructor defined within it that calls super. It uses super to call the constructor of the parent class. Let me write that down. Class components use super to call the constructor of the parent class. In this case, React.component. The construct. It's best to call components constructor with super and pass props to both. This makes sure the component is initialized properly. For now, know that it's standard for this code to be included. Soon you will see other uses for the constructor as well as props. My component is defined in the code editor using class syntax. Finish writing the random method so it returns a div element that contains an h1 with text. Okay, So class my component extends. So let me write that down. Class my component extends React component constructor prop. So if anyone's following along, these things, there's a lot to take in. I remember when I first was looking at it, it was a little confusing for me. But in the future, it's gonna be easier because they have a new thing called set state hooks, and I haven't learned hooks yet. I have to learn hooks, but it makes things easier than this, so you don't have to do class components as much. Or that's what I know so far. Okay, render. So let me do render return 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 div return h1 hello React, close the h1 and close the div, and this should work. Hello React, boom, we got it. What is it? Control enter, boom, submit and go. So now we are on, what number are we on? We're on 9. So we're almost 20% done. Okay, create a component with composition. Okay, create a component with composition. Okay, now we will look at how we can compose multiple React components together. Imagine you're building an app, have created 3 components: navbar, dashboard, and footer. To compose these components together, you can create an app parent component which renders each of these 3 components as children. To render a component as a child in React component, you include the component name written as custom HTML tag in the JSX. For example, in render method, you could write return app navbar dashboard footer app. Okay. When React encounters a custom HTML tag that refers another component, a component named in, like in example, it renders a markup for the component in the location of the tag. This should illustrate the parent-child relationship between app component and the navbar component. In the child editor, there is a simple functional component called child component, functional component, simple function, and a component called parent component. Compose the two together by rendering the child component within the parent component. Make sure to close the child component tag with a forward slash. They need a forward slash at the end. Okay, let's do it. Child component. This is a child component. I am the parent, so this is the parent component. So let's put the child in the parent, and I have it incorrect, and I am going to write child component, child component, boom. This should work. Okay, I think we are on 10. Okay, so it's gonna get a little bit harder from here. Use React to render. Okay. The last challenge showed a simple way to compose. Let me see what number I am. I am on Okay. Um, Use React to render nested components. The last challenge showed a simple way to compose two components, but there are many different ways you can compose components with React. Component composition is one of React's powerful features. When you work with React, it is important to start thinking about your user interfaces in terms of components, like the app example in the last challenge. You break down your UI into basic building blocks, and those pieces become the components. This helps to separate the code responsibility for the UI from the code responsibility in handling logic. Okay. UI logic. Let me write this down. UI and logic separation. Okay. Okay. So there are two types of functional components defined in the code editor called types of fruit and fruit. Take the types of fruit component, compose it and or nest it within the fruits component. Then take the fruits component and nest it within the types of food component. The result should be a child component nested within a parent component, which is nested within a parent component of its own. Okay. Okay, let me read that one more time actually. So there are two functional components defined. Okay. Two functional components. Okay. Types of fruit and fruits. Types of fruits and fruits. Types of fruits and fruits. Okay, there are two functional components defined in the code editor. Types of fruit and fruit. Take the types of fruit component and compose it or nest it within the fruits component. So they want me to do types of fruit backslash, okay, first part. Then take fruits component and nest it within the types of fruit component. Types of food component. So types of food is fruits, and my fruits has my types of food component. So let me run this, and I did something wrong. Fruits, okay. So that was just a typo. Boom, we got it all. Let's run it. Let me see. So I am, let me see, 12:30. As the challenge continues, so I might stop it here. Maybe I'll do it in 10 blocks. So I'm gonna stop here, take a slight break, come back. It seems like it takes me an hour to go to 1 to 10, but honestly, it's probably not. It's probably gonna be longer because the next stuff gets a little bit harder, So I think the series is probably gonna be broken down into like 4 or 5 parts. So if you guys are interested in web development, I have a lot of books below in my description. A lot of good HTML books. If you're interested in React, I have a good React book too. And if you click it, it's actually an affiliate link, so I get a little bit, so it kind of supports me. If you like the video, just press like. If you didn't like it, press dislike as well. And just if you didn't like it, just let me know if there's something good or bad, anything that I could change. If if you're trying to achieve a goal, good luck. I hope this my videos help you. They definitely help me motivate myself. I'm gonna be doing almost every day algorithms. Probably tomorrow I'll be doing algorithms in JavaScript and TypeScript, and then I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna go to kind of more React projects. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take a break. I'll be back in a little bit. Good luck, everyone. Take care. Bye.